Hello, I will go through how I do draw wings with Spacedraw for Fighter Wing 2 game. It's not the way wings are to be done, but it's the way I do draw wings. It doesn't mean that it's the perfect one. Okay, as usual, with drawing anything of this kind, we must start from the blueprint. In this case, the most important part is the airfoil. If we don't have the airfoil, we can switch to something similar from other blueprints. Okay, I draw the wings when the fuselage is already drawn, or at least decided in its subdivisions. This will help me to choose how many subdivisions there will be for the wing. I will create a cylinder in Spacedraw, and the number of sections, the number of slices are the number of subdivisions I will have to make correspond to the ones on the fuselage. Okay, in this case I did choose 11 subdivisions because I used 5 on the bottom, 5 on the upside, and I deleted the 11th one because I wanted to join the cylinder this way and have a better shading in the final result with the 3D model on a Spacedraw. It is not necessary. I could have drawn a 10 sides cylinder, 10 subdivision cylinder, and leave the trailing edge of the wing as one edge only. The only difference is that when I have finished my model, I will have a better look, not in the game, but just for me in Spacedraw. So both ways are good, but the second one is easier to be done, and Matt will be happy anyway. Okay, another thing to be decided before starting to draw on the tablet or any device is how many subdivisions are to be made along the wingspan. One must be counted where the flap ends and the aileron begins, 2 if they are not on the same line, another one here, and you can choose to add more subdivisions, or you must choose to make more subdivisions close to the wingtip, depending on the shape of the wingtip itself. More subdivisions are needed for a rounded tip, and on the wing root, if like in this case the joining to the fuselage is not simply straight like with a Corsair or a wheel cut or an Hellcat, but in this case, and usually with very low wing designs. Obviously, if the wing is much more complicated, like with a Spitfire or a P-47 Thunderbolt, you will have to add many more sections because the trailing edge will not be straight, and the leading edge as well. Okay, the first section in this case is in the middle datum of the plane. Not all planes have this condition, but it's better to leave one section at least inside of the fuselage, which will be helpful both to better join the inner section to the actual side of the fuselage, and eventually to draw the extensions of the fillet in the wing root. Okay, last thing very important to be decided before starting to draw is which will be the main spar line. Actually, it's not to be decided, but to be identified. Like in this case, this is the main line. You can see it even here, because it's the straight one. If I look at the picture in this way, I can see that this one is the straight line. It will be useful because even though I have different airfoil sections, to make it simpler, I can start with this one, which is in this position. You can see the N letter. No, sorry, this position, the L letter, yes. And then simply shrink, scale down the section while I'm replicating it along the wing span. Okay, I think we can move to the device now. Just 1 second, I hook my smartphone so that I can take a nicer picture. Okay, and here I have the application already running. Okay, I usually deselect immediately quick, I said quick, and activate a grid snap and deselect autoplane. Quick is a very good way to make things more complicated. Okay, just adjusting screen. Okay, perfect. So I said I'm starting with a cylinder, so I tap circle. I reduce the number of subdivisions. In this case, just because this is an example, I reduce it to only 7. Okay, I don't need to place its definitive position. It can be done, but not compulsory. So I'm tapping here. If I didn't forget anything, I can start to draw it like this, and I will extend it along its height. For example, let's say 220. Okay. I will choose the number of height subdivisions. Again, just for an example, I will choose 6. Okay. No radial subdivisions, they are not needed. You should be able to see right now that the shading does not show a polygon, but the shading already shows the solid like a cylinder. Okay. Now I see that in this position I have a row of edges already aligned on this datum. So I will decide that this will be my leading edge of the airfoil. In this case I will select and delete now a series of faces. From this one to the bottom one, it's quicker here to select the command path and move the selecting crosshairs like this. So delete, where is it? Here, delete. Okay, Why did I do this silly thing? Well, just because in this way the shading, which is interrupted here and there, once I will join the two edges, will look better. So let's select edges and move them into position. Okay, I told that this one will be the trailing edge and this will be the leading edge. So the datum, the mid datum will be the main spar of my wing. So I will select one row at a time and tell him to move in order to create the airfoil. Okay, here I'm going just by instinct, no measures, but the coordinates will have to be respected accordingly to the measures you took on the drawing. So let's move this here, for example. Okay, tapping here, I will select this other row, 6 edges, so I'm sure that I'm not moving anything else. This is an issue I often had with the Spacedraw. Okay, yes, looks fine. I will try to do it quickly because I don't want to waste your time here. Let's suppose that it will get back to 0 here. Okay, and now the upper side. Let's move. Okay, picking this one, move, and now the trailing edge. Okay, I forgot that to make it look better I should do I should respect the main spar path. Move. Okay, in this case I'm going to join the two edges at the same point. I may decide to simply follow coordinates. Here they are, because I think I could even use this tool which combines edges. Now they are joined, and here's my wing. You can see the shading is nice looking, even if it's very very rough as an airfoil, but the shading makes it look good around the nose. Okay, now let's suppose that the wing has nearly rounded tip. Okay, again with the edge selection I choose one and then loop. The loop will select all the loop of edges aligned with the first selection. If I move it along its height in this case, I can concentrate a certain number of not this one. Yes, move, but select the direction first. No, I left this one. This is always to be deselected unless you wanna have problems. Okay, now let's suppose the wing is tapered now. Okay. Okay, I will first moving on this one. Loop, move. Okay, and both. Let's move them close to the root. Perfect. Okay. One thing I forgot. You may have noticed here that I did it quickly, but these edges are no more in a straight line. This is due to the fact that depending on zoom area, so how close you will zoom the model in or out, the resolution of coordinates will change. So I selected all the airfoil, the section, and just moved. I should have got closer in order to increase the resolution, and when I had to move it, probably I wouldn't have had this little mistake. It's not a problem actually, because I'm planning to change the shape of the wing, so I can simply leave it there as it is without minding. Okay, I told that the wing has got to be tapered in my figure, so I take for granted that I have already taken the correct measures about wing chord, and will shrink it to the correct dimensions right now. So again I will select this loop, but now I'm telling him scale. Okay, I selected, maybe it's too little to be seen, I selected the white line in the middle of the red and blue arrow. This will allow me to shrink or scale the section in in the plane made by the crossing of the two coordinates. So let's shrink it to say 80% roughly. I didn't find a tool to input this value, so I always lose a lot of time and patience about setting it correctly. For example, if I want to do exactly 80% now, it's a mess. But, oh no, yes, it's a mess. Okay, let's not care about it now. Again, select by loop and scale on these two. Actually, the dimension of the wing chord will have to be calculated by dividing the wing chord here by the reference chord, yes, the reference chord, which is this one, identified in the blueprint, and then calculate the percentage. So let's suppose it's 55% here. Now I'm about to taper the wing tip. No, sorry, not to taper, but to round it. It's better to have at least 4 subdivisions or 5 if the wingtip is really rounded, but in this case, just to make an example, I selected this one. So even in this case it's better to have measures and not to go just by instinct. let's say for example, yes, like this. And last, oh yes, here it's easier to select the face and scale this down again as usual this way. I can reduce it as much as I like because nobody will get so close to see if this face is flat or not. Okay, nearly nice looking. Okay, I may need then to align the main spar. So I will have again to select a loop of edges, maybe more than one at a time, like with the tip, wing tip, and move it in this direction. Actually, the best thing to do is to know how much, which is the extent I have to move the group of sections. I'm doing this, okay. How to? Well, it's not so difficult because you can take onto the blueprint the coordinate of a known point, such as the trailing edge of the sections you must move. Then simply tap move and check where it is now. You can see the three colors of the three arrows. The red one is always the first, the green one is always the second, and the blue one is always the third coordinate. So I know that the position of the vertex compared to the datum of this drawing is at 2.46. And then you know which is, you can calculate or measure the difference from its actual position and its right position. So when you will be back on selecting edges, you can simply move it in order to fit it in the correct position. You may be more comfortable in this case not to make addition and subtractions, to switch the reference from world to object. Actually it is already like object. Okay, now I don't know why it says minus 0.7, probably because it's at the center of the group of selected edges. And then just move in the direction you want, etc. And I'm doing this now just because I want to go on to show you what's left. Okay, same applies for the wing root, but here there is a different technique I used to already draw the wing with the correct shape onto the fuselage. Okay, it's time now to select object and rotate it along its along the direction of the wind of flight, and turn it like if it is in its definitive position. Better to check now which is the dihedral angle, taking it from the blueprint. You should be able to calculate it following the trailing edge compared to the horizontal datum. If you aren't good at trigonometry, it's not hard because you can test the position and then, like before, say for example this is the right one, and then go to select the vertex, tell him to move, but don't move, just check the red arrow, in this case how high is respect of the basis datum. Okay. Now the thing to do is to merge a part of the fuselage you should have already drawn, and then match every single vertex to the position of the fuselage. Here I don't have one already drawn. I simulate it by drawing a cylinder. So I'm going here, move the pointer here, for example, say do a cylinder, I don't mind how many edges, but better to have them easier symmetric. Okay, maybe a little smaller. Okay, this is my very simple fuselage. I'm selecting it as an object and I'm telling him rotate just to lay it down. I wanted to do a 90 degrees, but as usual it's a mess to do it that one. Okay, I've been lucky. Okay, let's move it a bit backwards. Okay, this simulates the fuselage. No, it's too small. Damn it. What the hell of a fuselage I did. Okay, quite convincing. Okay, here I shouldn't merge the actual fuselage, but it's better to do a save as from the fuselage drawing, which will have removed all of the faces which are not needed to draw the wings. I will delete later this mask. Actually it is a mask, and in fact I call it mask fuselage in my saving as. Wait, okay. Here it's not very difficult to be done because I can see inside. I will delete this face because I don't need it. Where is the delete? I'm used to work with the tablet in a straight position and portrait position. Okay, now I see that this section is fine in its bottom side, but not at the top, because I must move it outwards. So just select an edge and tell him to move, and now the vertices are all out of it. Same with this one, move. Now the job to be done is this one. Sorry. Okay. Select vertices and patiently, one by one, should move them. Maybe better to zoom in until you see them going against the fuselage sides. You may also like best to select this tool, which helps you to place exactly the point onto the surface, but in this case you must be careful where it is aligned before moving it, because you may lose track of the height or the position in this direction. So this is an example. This vertex has been left inside, so I will find it here, and it's a move. I forgot to unselect this one. For example, now I can activate it and have it placed in position, etc, etc, etc. Okay, I'm not going to make you waste more time here, but you have an example here of the outcome, which we should have as a final result. In this area it may be necessary to add subdivisions, further subdivisions, to better refine the position of each surface. It's not difficult because you have this Foxy tool, which is in this